What's up everybody, Garrett back here, and I want to go through part 3 of my reviews on ScreamFactory's new 4Ks for the Halloween series. So as you guys know, ScreamFactory has put out 4K UHD new remastered transfers for the Halloweens 1 through 5. Now if you haven't, check out my reviews for part 1 and 2 and 3 when it comes to these new 4Ks. So if you guys have been following these releases, you know that it's been a little bit of the Wild West. Some people were getting part 1 first, some 2. Best Buy had some, they didn't have the other ones. They were delayed on shipments here. Some people received 4 and 5. It was a mess. So I finally just received 4 and 5 a couple days ago. I did have a chance to check them out, and I want to go through that now. Now let's start with Halloween 4. So again, Halloween 4 is almost like the resurgence of Michael Myers. It's almost like the second series in this franchise where it has to do with Jamie Lloyd, who's played by Danielle Harris. And that's what I always remember these for. I'm a big fan of Danielle Harris, so I remember these were the ones that I saw as a kid, and I actually saw them on TV. And these are the ones I remember seeing trailers for on TV as a young kid. Now, over the years, I've almost become less and less of a fan of 4 and 5. The more I see it, the more I kind of just feel like they just feel very low budget. So that's why I was really concerned about how these were going to look in 4K. So again, I popped this thing in. As you guys know, the one thing about Halloween 4 is it gives a really cool fall vibe. But what I want to talk about is the transfer on this disc. This is the best this movie has ever looked. I was actually kind of blown away about how good it looks, especially in the day scenes. Just the contrast and the brightness, everything kind of really just pops. And I feel like ScreamFactory did a heck of a job on this as far as the quality goes on this disc. So really quick, I'm going to read some of the special features that we are getting on this disc. We have a new 2021 4K scan of the original camera negative, which again, like I said, you can tell because this is the best this movie has ever looked. We also have a new Dolby Atmos mix, and it also comes with a Blu-ray with another 4K scan of the original camera negative. Everything else on here for special features we've seen on other editions of Halloween 4 already, so if you have the ScreamFactory box set, you've seen all this stuff before. So let's check out what's on the inside. So as you see, I've got the original poster art here, which I was always a big fan of this original poster art for Halloween 4. But the one gripe I've always had with this is how cool does this mask look on this poster? And it looks nothing like this in the movie. So before we get into what I think of the movie itself, like I said, this looks fantastic. Open it up, boom, you get the double discs in here. Now another problem I found is some people are missing discs on these new ScreamFactory 4Ks. Luckily that didn't happen to me on any of my discs. But yeah, a lot of people have been missing discs, which is a big problem. So again, I've got both discs in here, which is great. Everything looks good. I know a lot of people were getting mad over the eco cases as well. Luckily, I did not get an eco case on these two titles. The only one I did was Halloween 3. But yeah, I can understand because they're very flimsy and they can tear the artwork and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I can understand people being a little bit bummed about eco cases because again, these were pretty expensive and we want to make sure we keep these in the best condition as possible. Now, before we get into my thoughts on these movies, I just want to run through Halloween 5 and go through what I thought of the picture and special features. Halloween 5 is a follow-up to Halloween 4. Like I said, it has Jamie Lloyd, played by Danielle Harris, in this one as well, and it takes place pretty much right after Part 4. Kind of like how Part 2 connected to the original. Now, this is the one that most people were after, only because this is the one that had the most meat on the bone because of the special feature that was added to this that you can't get anywhere else. So the footage that was added to this disc was the Dr. Death cut or the Dr. Death footage. So that's why this one was really sought after by a lot of people because they wanted to see this footage that hasn't been seen by the fans before. Now I gotta give credit where credit is due. I guess they found this footage and it was a real mess. It didn't look good. There was no audio to it. So I know they had Michael Felcher kind of splice everything together, add a little bit of audio. I know Sean Whalen had a part in it doing some of the voices. But the problem I have with it is if you look, it is not listed on the back of this. It does not say anything about that footage. It doesn't say anything about the Dr. Death footage, Dr. Death cut. I will say this, along with Part 4, looks fantastic. The best it's ever looked. Here, same thing, the contrast, the colors, everything pops. It looks great. But when it comes to finding that Dr. Death footage, I had to do a scavenger hunt to figure out where it was. I watched the movie thinking it was going to be spliced in there, which it wasn't. I thought there was going to be a whole nother cut of the movie on here. There wasn't. So I'm looking around and there was no special features on the UHD itself. So I'm looking at the back of the box. It doesn't mention anything about this footage, where it is, where it's located. So I had to go on Google and actually find an article on where I could find this. Well, come to find out, it's a special feature on the Blu-ray disc in here. So as you see, like we talked about before, I put the original poster art in here, which again, I do love the poster art here. Same thing like I said with this. The mask looks cool on this poster, but this is not the mask you are getting If you want to know the mask you're getting in part 5, it looks like this. Now, same thing, you look in here, it's got the UHD, it's got the Blu-ray. I didn't get the eco case on this as well, which I know a lot of people did. I know a lot of people were missing discs here, especially if they're missing the Blu-ray. That's even worse because that's where the footage is. So I would have never known that because it doesn't talk about it or mention it as a special feature in the back of this box. So if you're having trouble finding it, that's where it's located. I don't know why it didn't make it in the back of the box. Maybe these were made way before they decided to add that footage in. That's the only thing I can think of, not that they just forgot, because again, that was a selling point for this disc. But again, I watched it. It was pretty cool. I mean, it was very similar to what we had there with the Hermit guy, but it just told a little bit of a backstory on the voodoo aspect of Michael Myers in parts 5 and 6. In that aspect, it would have made more sense, but honestly, it was pretty weird. Especially because this guy just kind of had a little place in the middle of Haddonfield, and it was just a little bit odd. It was cool that we got it. There was also some cuts that were a little bit suspect. I mean, it was stuff that I guess you just couldn't put together, but there was this one specific part where they show Michael Myers like fall on the guy. And to be honest, like, I would have just cut that part out because it looks terrible. It's almost like I can't even tell what happened. Michael Myers is standing there. There's no background. I don't know. You'd have to see it for yourself. But there's this one specific part where I wish they would have just kind of spliced that out of it because it's really, really weird. It's like almost the worst CGI I've ever seen. I don't know, but again, it's cool to have this footage, and I think that Michael Felcher did a great job trying to restore this thing, and it's another way to kind of see how this storyline progresses into part 6. Now again, my biggest complaint is that it doesn't talk about it on the back of the box, therefore you don't know where to find it. I almost wish they had a second version of this film with that included at the beginning of the film. But really quick, I want to talk about these two movies. Like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of these. I find myself liking these less and less as I watch them. And again, same thing. They look fantastic. But movies as a whole, I really just can't get past the masks in here. Between part 4, which honestly, in my opinion, I feel like is the worst of the bunch, even though part 5 is the one that everybody gives a lot of crap to. So between the masks on both of these, I think they just look terrible. It's almost laughable. The story itself is pretty good. The atmosphere is really good. But I just really think that the mask that they chose for part 4 and 5, to me, just kind of throws everything off, in my opinion. Like I said, it becomes laughable every time I see Michael Myers hit the screen. He is not threatening at all. But again, these are classics, so I don't want to jump on it too much. But if you're a huge fan of these movies, these are the way to go. Again, like I said, they've never looked better. And I personally feel that these are very low quality Halloween movies, but they did a fantastic job upgrading these on these editions. So again, that's the last of the bunch with these ScreamFactory 4Ks. So I hope you like these reviews. Let me know what you thought of these 4Ks. I want to know, were any of yours messed up? Were you missing discs? Were your boxes torn? Are you still waiting for yours? I know a lot of people are still waiting for their editions, or maybe they got a couple and not the whole bunch. But I'd love to hear down below what you think of these titles, and if you're having any problems getting them. And like always, stay rad.